I am actually thrilled and honored to be joined by my special guest, Geoff Ramm. Geoff is the creator and author of Celebrity Service, a customer service and customer experience expert. He has challenged and inspired audiences across 42 countries to create award-winning ideas to outperform the competition. His clients include Emirates, Warner Brothers, and McDonald's. Beyond his presentations on Celebrity Service, I'm personally a huge fan of Geoff's unique, engaging, and entertaining storytelling skills, and that's something we're going to discuss for improving your messaging and presentations and marketing your business. Forbes calls him a game changer. Good morning, Geoff, or maybe I should say good afternoon, because you're like a little bit of a distance from Kansas City, are you not?
From Kansas City to a place in the Northeast called Sunderland. So it's the afternoon here, so good morning to everybody, and I hope you're all well.
We're doing it's a beautiful day here. I hope it's a beautiful day where you are, and we got sun here, so that's counting for something. So I got to tell you, as I said in the intro, I'm both honored and I'm thrilled. This has been I was blown away that you accepted my invitation to be a part of my video cast, and I'm so happy that you're here. So before we really get rolling too far here, I'm curious, because I've seen you speak, at least through videos. What led you down this path of speaking?
How far do we go back? Have we got 3 days, Ron? Have we got 3 days?
I got as much time as you've got, man.
Okay, so I've been in business for 18 years. So I've had my own company for 18 years. For 12 years, as a professional speaker. A bit like yourself, going to conferences all over the world, delivering keynotes, that type of thing. But it wasn't always like that. So before I started my own business, I was working with entrepreneurs and small businesses. I was a marketing and a customer service advisor for small micro business. And my lecturer, my university lecturer, called me up out of the blue and said, so I've left university, I've graduated, and I'm now in the world of work. And out of the blue, he called me and he said, Geoff, it's William here. And I said, oh, how are you doing? He said, oh yeah, good. He said, we've got a motivational business guru coming into the university. I said, yeah. He said, we would like to invite you to come and see him. And I said, a what? What? Now, this is before Google. You couldn't type in motivational business. I said, what's that? He said, we've got this speaker coming in, and it's for all sorts of business. Going to speak to the students. I said, yes, but I've graduated. He said, you're alumni. Come in. I said, who else is coming? He said, I'm inviting your entire year. Ron, I went, and I was the only person in my year to go. I was the only person sat at the back of the lecture theatre with my suit on, feeling rather uncomfortable, and all of the students were there. I feel ancient, and I'm sat in the back of how old was I? 24, 22? Anyhow. And a gentleman called Tom Edge, who was from Birmingham, from the Midlands area of the UK, a guy called Tom Edge walked on stage. He had 2 flip charts, 2 pens, and he was throwing out ideas, stories, stories, bang, 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 and I just couldn't get enough of it. And I was writing all of these ideas down and all these little quips and one-liners, and I was blown away. And I got back home to my wife, Haley, that night, and I said, I would love to do this. She said, what? I said, this thing that he's just done. I said, your cogs start turning as an early 20-something-year-old person, right, thinking, he has been booked and he's traveled and he's delivering that, and then he's going back. I said, what a job that would be. And my wife said, well, what would you speak on? And now, I was never one for in front of a camera, never one for on a stage. It's the least, it's a million miles away from what I would feel comfortable with. And I said I would speak on the 2 topics that are dear to me, customer service and marketing. And that was the first seed, Ron, of how I got into speaking. Fast forward, start my own business. I started doing small events in the northeast of England, chambers of commerce, business
Right,
network,
right,
that
right.
type of thing. And I just sat down it was about 6 years into my business, my consultancy business. And I was 97% consultant, 3% speaker.
Wow.
In terms of time, energy, money, effort, call it what you will. And this little 3% of the speaking thing, just little things. It was part of a business. And I sat down with Haley again at Christmas, and we said, what does the future look like? What would you love to do? Because I was flat out at the consultancy. It's a lot of work.
Right.
And I said, I would love to do this. I would love to speak full time. I wonder if it's possible to take this further. So January, I launched a second brand. So Mercury Marketing was my company, still is. But geoffram.com was born, and separate website, separate brand. And I started writing my own material, started on the road run, I suppose. I joined at that time the Professional Speaking Association here in the UK, which was a huge help. I was just a sponge. I was walking into the room, I was like, oh my word, they've got walk-on music for speaking. What is going on? And it was mind-blowing. And look, I sit in front of you now, and I want to thank you as well, because that was a lovely introduction, but the amount of comments and shares that you put on social media of my material is lovely. It's lovely. And I can wake up and go, oh, Ron's said this.
Who is this Ron guy and why is he stalking me?
What's outside my room? And if somebody told me, Ron, sort of 12 years ago, that I would have, be writing my fourth book, I'll have spoken in 42 separate countries, and I'll have main staged on NSA, and I've worked Emirates or Warner Brothers, or we spoke just off air, Ron, before this about my love of American football. My dream as a kid was to always go to Los Angeles, because I was a Raiders. I still am a Raiders fan. I know it's Oakland and then it's Las Vegas, but I'd always wanted to go to Los Angeles. And I remember the Los Angeles Coliseum, and obviously the Rams, with my surname being a Ram. That was my second team. But I always wanted to go to Los Angeles. And 18 months ago, I fulfilled that biggest bucket list. I spoke at the conference center in front of thousands of people in Los Angeles. And if somebody told me that conversation I had at that Christmas time, I would have be doing what I saw as a dream, I would have thought they were mad. That is a very, very short, condensed version of how I became a speaker, what inspired me, Tom Edge.
Right.
And lots of things along the way, but it's not a job.
And you're absolutely, when I watch you speak, it's not a job. I can tell it's not a job. And that's again, there's a fascination to the stories, and we're going to get to that. But I want to touch a little bit on celebrity service, on where the brand came from, and if you would go ahead and share what each of the letters mean. I tried myself to do it this morning, and I get lost about halfway through. So, but I know each. So that's why I went with WOW, because it's easy. I just have 3 letters I have to concern myself with.
Put upside down.
Or mom, yeah. So speak a little bit about celebrity service. Where did that come from, and what does it stand for?
So celebrity service essentially is, we all think we're delivering a high level of service, Ron. So clients, front of house, you and I, we all think we deliver a high level of service. And when I it's a question that I ask audiences, even virtually or in physical events. I say, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is abysmal but 10 is incredible, where would you rate yourself for the levels of service? Now, over 42 countries, the vast majority of audiences will say we're an 8. 7's and 8's. We're quite good, but there's always room for improvement.
Right.
I do that the world over. So I say, what would it take you to go from an 8 to a 9, from a 7 to an 8, to a 3 to a 4, to a 9 to a 10? What would it take you to? And I said, because we have to stop talking about the things that we've been talking about for 40 years. Because every manual, every book, every person out there talks about two things: go the extra mile and exceed expectations. Now, it's good, but Ron, it's not new. You can't go into your team tomorrow. You can't launch a brand and get your team together and say, let's go the extra mile. We've heard it time and time again. So I've always talked about about customer service. So I would speak about marketing, which was my OMG brand, OMG marketing, and also customer service. Now, but the customer service was always embedded into the OMG brand for a number of years. I did a talk, and I'm going to condense this down for you, Ron, because it's quite a long story, but I did a talk, and I opened up by saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? Well, do you treat everybody the same? And this is on my video that you've seen in Dallas. Do you treat everybody with the same high level of service? And there's this one lady shouted out, she said, oh yes, and she was really passionate. And to cut a long story short, I said, but what happens? And I made this up on stage. We got into this conversation, there was 300 people in the room. I said, but what happens? What happens if a celebrity were to walk into your business tomorrow? Because she said her service was so good. And she said, well, who do you mean? and I said, no, okay, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Cameron Diaz, an A-list celebrity Hollywood god or goddess, if they were to tweet, email, walk into your business tomorrow, become your next customer, client, passenger, member, what would you say? What would you do? What would be the difference? And Ron, in 30 seconds, she came up with 6 ideas on how she would improve her service, which she'd already told everybody was great. She came up with 6 ideas in 30 seconds. And I remember getting in the car after that conference and thinking, my word, I asked this question about what happens if a celebrity were to walk into your business. And she just came up with all these creative, wonderful ideas out of nothing from one question. So that was the seed of celebrity service. This is, I can't even remember how long ago it was. Maybe it's 15, 16 years ago now. And I started thinking celebrity service, and I started thinking celebrity service. And I created a sub-brand of my speaking brand. And it has just gone through the roof, Ron. People get it. The CEO, the directors, somebody brand new to the company, they can get the celebrity service concept. What would we do if a celebrity were to become our next customer? And we come up with the ideas, which is the gap, which is that 7 to an 8, that 9 to a 10. So celebrity service is a philosophy, and the philosophy is the question that I've just said. But it's also a 9-stage program. It's a 9-stage strategy, I suppose. And it's where you can break down every area of your business or department or brand and say, right, how do we create celebrity service throughout the company? So it's about, and this is what celebrity stands for: consistency, excitement, love, engagement, bravado, response, independence, thank you, and you and your team. Let me quickly go through. So consistency, it's pretty obvious, but we'll now. Excitement. Are you putting the biggest smile on your customers or client's face? Deliver excitement. And excitement can be for any professional service, for any retailer, for any restaurant, hotel, hospitality. It can go across for everybody.
Right.
Love. Now, this isn't we love our customers and they love us and everybody's good. Love is when things go wrong. When something goes wrong, the lift breaks, you run out of eggs, whatever happens. Didn't include pandemics, by the way. But when something goes wrong, how do we turn it around? And there's always somebody in an organization that loves to put something right, that loves it when something goes wrong, actually. Engagement is the personal questions we ask, but we listen to the answers, but we deliver a greater service in return. Bravado is exactly that, being brave enough. You're going to come up with ideas on my sessions from my keynotes that you've never had before. You just have to be brave enough to see that through.
Ah,
Okay. Response is how we respond. So an email inquiry comes through. Somebody picks up the phone, calls you up. How do you respond in a greater personalized way?
right.
So response. Independence, I always look for the great people who do things differently to everybody else in their sector. But also for managers, leaders, directors, it's, are we giving our teams independence to go and deliver celebrity service? T is thank you, which is an easy one, an obvious one. How are we thanking our clients and customers for the business, for them putting food on our plates? And the why, the you, your team, this is all about what you decide as a team, as a department, as an organization, what you're going to do after this talk, after this session. And that's when I neatly go in here, Ron, to the results. So I can deliver the philosophy of celebrity, go into some of the stories, give people techniques to deliver it, but I always end with the results. And I'll say, this company here adopted celebrity service 3 months ago. This is what's happened to them. This is what's happened to their net promoter score. They've gone on and won this award, or however that might look like, Ron. So that is celebrity service. It's a philosophy, but it's also a 9-stage program. And you can dissect your business into any one of those areas to provide a greater experience.
I don't think I've ever heard you speak on bravado before, and to hear the explanation of it in the way you put it, it's being brave. It's, in other words, being a risk taker, being willing to do something that maybe stepping outside of, as much as I hate the term, stepping outside of your comfort zone to do something you've never tried before.
Every idea, everything you can come up with or create, look, not everybody's going to love it.
Right.
Okay, so you deliver something for 100 clients, one person might complain. And all of a sudden, that'll be a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, should we do this again?
Right.
But 99 love it.
And part of that comes down to understanding who your customer is in a lot of ways. I mean, and that would be, what I found interesting about your story here is that as you went through this and about the first time I always wondered when you got on stage at Dallas and you said, this happened and I made it up. I thought, no, I didn't really make that up. You really made that up on the spot. Did you not? When you asked the lady, when you asked the question of, celebrity service?
No, that's the truth. Everything I tell is, I can't make this stuff up. That happened. That happened. So when I rarely do that introduction anymore, Ron, funnily enough. I rarely do it. I go straight into the stories now.
Right.
But that was in Dallas. So we'll come on to storytelling in a minute. But I'm telling a story of how celebrity service happened.
Sure.
On a stage in front of an audience. So guess where I'm telling that story? On a stage in front of an audience. The audience is already in my story.
Right.
Right. So when I say front row, just off to my right. Right. And so already as I've started my intro, I'm walking around and I can see the person that I'm going to look at.
Right.
Okay. So just off to my right, your lucky seat for the next 5 minutes.
Right. Right. I love that line too.
So that person is now the person that I'm talking about 15 years ago. So I get in conversation with her. So it without sounding corny, it truly is bringing the story to life. And we get into this conversation. But no, that happened, oh my word, 15-ish years ago now. It happened, and it inspired me to create the brand or the stories, the philosophy that's now inspiring others. It's quite funny how things can turn full circle. It's very strange.
Well, my other part of that, just part of that story that I find really amusing is where she talks about how she serves coffee, and everybody in the room wrote down the idea.
Which doesn't really happen, and everybody's like, oh,
Yeah. So while we're on this, I mean, because this is where I wanted to go for in our conversation is let's talk a little bit about one of the things that draws me to you, has drawn me to you, and watching all your videos and watching your interviews is that you make your point, you make some really solid points just through the delivery of the entertaining, engaging stories that you tell. So I love the painting. I love the story of how you go to, I'm guessing it was a toy store to buy, and you're just there, and it wind up buying paints for your daughter Grace, and I love that you tell another awesome story about the magic ticket, going on a train ride with your son Elliot. Can we talk about how do these stories evolve? Where do they come from? What is your process, or do you have a process and how you compose these stories?
Yeah, me. I'm telling you what happened. I'm literally telling you what it's not a. Oh, where do I start? I've never asked that question about the things I'd say.
Sorry.
So let's take Elliot, the train journey. Okay.
Okay.
That is an example. So, okay. So where do I get my ideas from? They're everywhere, right? All you have to do, maybe it's not just yet, but what you can do is walk outside, right? And just go somewhere, go for a walk, get in the car, go on the bus, go on the train. And I find the majority of my stories happen when I travel. Whether there's something happens with my brain and I'm just more receptive, alert, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But whatever makes me smile, whatever makes me laugh, whatever makes me cry, whatever makes me go, capture it. I capture it. And I capture it on one of these things called a phone. I don't know if you see, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
New?
Crazy. Oh, yeah. New technology. Okay. So I capture it. So whatever makes me smile, laugh, and the laughing stuff or the cry, the real, it really gets you. Capture it. Now I take photographs. I take thousands of photographs. Sometimes I'll record a video. I'll just do whatever it may be, and the photographs are always landscape, because I know that's a slide.
Right.
That's a slide. I don't want to do that to it. It needs to fit. So whenever something really captures my attention, gets my interest, that is potential content for an audience. Because if it's grabbed my attention, it might just grab theirs.
Right.
But it just can't be a case of, oh, this is great, look at this. There's got to be something in it for the audience. So I collect, and I do it all the time. And it's great when you're on holiday, or if you go to the cinema, somebody said something, this happens, there's a sign. It could be anything, okay? I have, on this Mac now that I'm speaking to you on, I have around about 350 stories.
Oh my goodness.
Ish. There's some stories I've never used. There's some stories I might never use. There's some stories I will never not use. There's stories that I will use in every talk I do, because those are your A-game stories, okay? So I collect these and I put them into folders. So when a client says, the client might be an airline, or there may be a retail store, or there might be financial services, or there might be a travel company. It's like the Minority Report, Ron. Do you remember the Minority Report when he's getting all the things together, clues? I start with a blank canvas and I drag my stories in to make the perfect keynote. I don't have a keynote, but I have a keynote slot that I add the best stories that I have for that audience, because there's some stories that will be relevant, more relevant than others. So I'm always doing that. Right. So I've never done the same set twice. Okay. I've told the same stories billions of times, but I will add and tweak, and that's what I do. So when it grabs my attention, I capture it, because that could become potential content. When it comes to delivering that on stage, delivering it for an audience, I don't practice it. Now,
Wow.
there'll be speaker coaches around the world just freaking out right now, or maybe he's emailing me trying to
I
think
am.
I'm going to do business. But I don't practice. I do the story live on stage because I was there. So to give you an example, and forgive me because obviously there's people on the call who won't have seen this, but I set the scene. So I talk about excitement. How can you build excitement into your business, into your brand? Let me give you one of the greatest examples I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
That's how I would start it. And then I'll say, right, my wife Haley and our daughter Grace, they go to London for the day to go and see a show. I think it was Matilda. So they get on the train from Newcastle station, and it takes 3.5 hours to London. They see the matinee, so they're away 5 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. Big long day in London. They come back later that day. So it sets the scene that I'm in the house by myself and the girls have gone out to London for the day to see a show. I'm not bothered about a show, Ron. It's okay. 7:30, Elliot, our son, so now you've got the family. Elliot, our son, comes downstairs. We're having breakfast. He knows his sister's on a big train. Daddy, can we go on a big train? And this is the conversation that we had. And I'm like, yeah. So later that day, but we weren't going to go all the way to London, and we just wanted a short journey. So I walk into the ticket office about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I walk up to the cashier and I said, next big train, please. She said, what? I said, next big train. She said, where to? I said, I don't know. I said, I just want a short journey. And I said, my son, so I looked down here, I said, my son loves big trains. I don't want a small train, I want a big train. So I said, when's the next big train you've got leaving the station? Either south, which will take us to about York, the city of York, or north to about Edinburgh. There's a train leaving in 11 minutes time. It's going to Edinburgh. It stops off at Berwick. I said, fantastic, I'll have 2 tickets. How old's your son? I said, he's 4. Under 5s are free. He doesn't need a ticket. Ka-ching! Oh, I've just made some money. I've saved some money. That's good news. He doesn't need a ticket, but I think he'd like one. What's his name? Elliot. She took out a blank ticket. She picked up a pen and she wrote 3 words. She leant over the counter and she said, there you go, Elliot. Have a great journey. His face lit up. We walk out, we walk along the platform, going to the train. He's still beaming. I said, are you okay? He said, yeah. And he said, Daddy, look. And I pick up the ticket. And I held it up. And I took the following photograph before we got on the train that day. And at this point in the story, Ron, you'll have seen, right. I click on my clicker. No, the audience are in the story. They're on the platform. I click. Now my hand's like this, but when I click on the screen, you will see the ticket, and that lady had wrote Elliot's magic ticket. And of course, the audience is like, oh, that's brilliant. Oh, you know, it cost nothing, meant the world. 3 words. And the reason I'm telling you this story, the reason I'm sort of dissecting it, which I've never done before, is because, and this actually happened at NSA in Dallas. I've got to tell you, can I tell you this story? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I feel like I'm getting like personal concert here. Go for it. A private concert.
I did my 20 minutes. I did my 20 minutes introduction to celebrity, and I did the Hamley's Grace story. Okay. And nobody knew me from Adam before I arrived. You know, there's like 2,000 speakers, and everybody's, you know, all friends, and nobody really knew me. A few people didn't know me from yesteryear, but nobody knew me. So I would go in the lift with my little NSA badge, you know, speaker, you know, author, all that type of stuff. Right. And nobody, you know, just pleasantries. Oh, hi. Oh, you're from the UK, yeah. And people get out the lift, in the lift. All pleasant. And it was literally after the talk was something else. So I get back in the lift like an hour later, and literally people were like, oh my God, oh my God, what you've just done there, the storytelling. I said, yeah. Who's your coach?
See, that's what I want to know.
I didn't know if that was the right answer. I was like, what? I said, who's your coach? Who's your coach? And you had 5 or 6 people, yeah, and storytelling, and how you told the stories, And I said, oh, I don't have one. And they just looked bemused. Breakfast the next morning, people come up, oh yeah, oh what a story, and which is lovely, and it's lovely to get that feedback. Who's your coach? I don't have one. And I think people thought I was keeping the name away from them, okay? And I think it was, we'd all had a bit to drink, and I think it was the gala dinner night. That night, again, the lift, because the hotels were huge. You couldn't walk the stairs. And I was in the lift, and again, it was full. And people still recognized me from a couple of days ago, and they said, oh, yeah, stories. And I was like, and they said, how do you tell the stories as you do? Now, forgive me, Ron, everybody within the speaking world talks about, tell stories, storytelling, audience stories. But it was weird because from a Brit coming to America, where American speakers and telling stories, where I think it originated from, it was quite strange. And I said, look, and somebody held the lift. And everybody had a bit to drink. And I said, look, I don't know. And I said, the only thing I can think of is don't just tell stories. Be in every story you tell. I think 2 people wrote it down. I was like, what? I said, look, everybody tells you to tell stories. And in this lift, I bet 10 of 12 of you tell stories. Are you in it? And I said, I don't have a degree in acting. I've not done drama, but I'm in the story. Guess why I'm in the story? Because it's my story. Nobody can tell that story like you. So when I'm talking about my wife and my daughter who've gone on a train, that's just information. But when Elliot says to me, Daddy, look, I said, I'm looking down at him. He's a certain height. And I pick it up, and then I lift the ticket up. And then I lift it up to take a photograph. And I said, all I'm doing is, you can see me doing that. I'm in the story. And look, I just do what I do. There's some brilliant coaches out there that'll say, this is how you do a story. And if you want look, just, if it makes you smile, if it makes you cry, if it gets you, and then when you're delivering the story, add to the story as well. Add where you are, what you said, the other person's reaction. Now the story that you saw in Dallas, I play the lady in the shop, and then I play me,
right?
Then I play her, then I play me, and I'm the same person. I don't take a jacket off, and I don't go to this side of the stage and then do that side. No, none of that rubbish. I just do it as it happened. And I can't take a painting product on the stage. I could take an easel and do that story. But actually, if I've just got some paints, the paints are there, I've got my brush. You know what a brush looks like. You don't need the prop. But I can just write whatever I want on that board. But when I take the paper off of the easel,
right,
and you just turn it around, but I'm just in the story. That's all it is. Don't just play yourself. Don't be that one-dimensional storyteller. Me, I. There's a few speakers that do that, but play all the parts and engage the audience in such a way that they're in the toy store, they're on the train, they're in the hotel, they're on the flight with you. And if you've got that sort of, people say, you could have the audience in the palm of your hand. I don't know if that's true, but when they're with you, it makes for an incredible time on stage and time in an auditorium that you can enjoy.
Yeah.
I will say that, enjoy. As speakers, we should enjoy what we deliver. And as an audience, we need to enjoy whatever content is put in our way, because whether we laugh or whether we engage, whether we write, whether we're inspired, but let's enjoy it, Ron. You know, life is too blooming short at the minute. Was that a slow answer?
You talk about what you're talking about when you talk about the picture. I mean, you talk about the paintbrush, and you're talking about all the elements of things that you may handle. It's called object work. And for those who are watching and you're going, well, but how? For Geoff, this is evidently a natural talent, and I'm just like blown away because I took like 5 years of improv to learn how to pick up a cup and make it look like a cup, and I still can't do it right. So to me, yeah, I know. It's like,
you know, you can drink it.
Yeah, but it does take it. For me, it would take practice. I'm blown away by how you just tell the story. My problem is that, and I don't mean to make this about me, but maybe people have the same problem I have, is that I have a tendency to draw out the story with information that really may not be pertinent to what's really going on. And so you get to a point where you go, you got to get to the punchline, or I got to get to the point. What you wait for somebody in the audience to say, so what's the point of the story? And that's where also I know I need some work. I don't know, maybe others need that kind of work as well. But again, I'm just blown away how these stories come to be.
When something happens and it grabs your attention, it grabs mine, it's made me, I say, that is brilliant, that was great. Let me photocopy that. How old did that sound? Take a photograph, photocopy, take a picture, and that it becomes content, potential content. But then what you're delivering there is you're also delivering your emotions. So I can get angry with certain things that happen. So I can get angry on stage with certain things. You can get excited. You know, all of a sudden your voice is, come on. You know, you can take that roller coaster of a keynote and start with a big story, end with a big story, but the stories have got to have a point. Now,
that brings me to what you were just talking about, and I want to come back to that because you told the story of Elliot, which is an awesome story. But what a lot of people may not know, and I only know it because I've seen you present it, is that there is a point to the story, and the point is
look at every potential interaction with your customers. What did that cost?
Right.
She spotted the opportunity. He doesn't need a ticket, right? So the good news that the person, the cashier, said he doesn't need a ticket, that saved me money. But she spotted the opportunity to deliver a piece of service that would put a smile on his face, right? And I would bring this back. So when I bring the story back, I say, what opportunities are you missing every day, you and your team, to put a smile on somebody's face? It costs nothing, means the world. 3 letters. Let me tell you where those 3 letters went. Now, this is the story, Ron. I'm hoping to get a brand new video. It happened just before lockdown, so I'm hoping to get this brand new video that I did at a conference in February. And the story developed from the time that you've seen it, okay?
Okay.
So weeks later, I'll say, so, you know, what's the impact of something like this? And I said, well, here I am in Australia, in Los Angeles, in Sydney, in London,
right,
telling you a story about this brand, about this lady, Virgin Trains. Who's talking about you? That's how I'll flip that around, Ron, because there'll be people in there saying, well, we don't have a train. We don't sell trains. We're not a train company. We're financial services, Geoff. But no. The point is, I am talking to you about this incredible piece of service. Which speaker around the world is talking about you for the service that you've delivered? Because if nobody's talking about you, you're not delivering a service that deserves to be talked about. And you can always hear a pin drop in the room and like, oh. And I'll say, let me tell you what happened with this photograph. And I've still got the big ticket, Elliot's Magic Ticket, on the screen. I say, what do you think I did with this photograph? Right? And you get the audience. So this is the audience participation.
You shared it on social media.
And I said it was my second biggest Facebook post that year.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It was second to my birthday, because your birthday is always the big one. Okay. So it was the second biggest. I said, it's also been, so I put it on Twitter, and I tagged in the train companies. I still do to this day. Every few months, I'll still re-tag them. Over this time, it has been liked, shared, retweeted, and viewed over 2.2 million times.
Oh, wow.
And I said, it's content in my talks. Here I am speaking in front of 1,000 people today, talking about a company that you may never ever use, may never have heard of. And I said, it's content in my book. It's just that story's in the book. So it's, what I'm saying is, when you deliver a group piece of service, a magical experience, it's not that instant hit. Oh, we've done this, this will come to us. It's a case of, look at what happened. This is what I did. This is how I shared this great piece of service, but look where it went. Who is talking about you right now? And so it's a story that is heartfelt. It's fun, and I make it fun. It's about the children, which is always good. The majority of people in the room will be parents or have been parents. And there's a point to it. There's always going to be a point to it.
Yeah, I noticed that about all your stories, every one of them, and they stay with you. I mean, I could almost quote you every story you've ever told, well, within reason, because they are stories. I may not get them totally right, but those kind of stories stay with you, and the way that they're told, and there's a belief system to all of it that you go, as an audience member, you can't help but get sucked into what's, like with Elliot. That one actually, nobody's watching this. It brought a tear to my eye. It was like, the way it's told, it's just, oh my gosh, when I saw it in the video. For those of you who are watching, and thank you so much for being here. We have a few of you. We're gonna, Geoff and I got a couple more things to cover with Geoff. We are gonna get to Q&A here in just a few moments. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A, and I'll get to those here in just a few moments. But there are two more things I want to cover with Geoff before we move into that. So thank you for sharing that about stories. And that is first, that's just, I'm gonna work harder at it. That's all I can say. So I want to back up again to customer experience for a few moments. I know that you've been talking about a program. It's not really a program. I don't know that it's a program, but you're talking about, well, people coming out of lockdown right now, quarantine, with a welcome back strategy. And my question is twofold. Is can you talk about that a little bit? And also, where do you see customer experience going now in the future? I mean, we're obviously moved beyond normal. We're moving into a whole new world. So would you address that, please?
Two things I would mention on this. So yes, first and foremost, so look, the day I locked down, I said, right, what can I do? What can I feel most proud of doing in the time that lockdown? Because there's no events happening. The ones that are virtual, there's no physical events. My clients are in, I work a lot in hospitality, I work travel, it's decimated. And what can I do to offer support, help, advice? So I reached out to all of them and said, look, you know where I am. And I've been doing sort of 3-5 minute videos for the teams. We've done live sessions, all that wonderful stuff. But I created a sub brand in the early days called the Welcome Back Strategy. Have you got a celebrity service welcome back strategy? And it's based on this. Vast majority of the world and sectors, we've been in the pits. We've been in the pit lane, okay? We've been in the pit lane for weeks, months, and some of us still are. Some of us, slowly but surely, Ron, we're coming back onto the grid. Some are at the front, some are at the back, but we're getting ready to race again. And what I'm saying to all business is, did you use this time in the pits to create a greater customer experience, a welcome back strategy? So when you get back on the grid, when you get into that first corner, there's a chance you're going to be leading. There's a chance you're going to finish the race. You're going to have a great season. I'm not on about winning. I'm on about having a great season. Because if if all we're going to do for 3 or 4 months of lockdown and furlough and losing orders and things and shutting down and making people redundant, and there's a very negative space. If all we're going to do is get back into the grid with the same car we had, and let me tell you, the car wasn't great to start with. Service experience, it's not the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
Unless you're number one and you've got your TripAdvisor review and you're the greatest in the world, then everybody else should spend time in the pits catching up. What can we do to create a greater service when we get back onto the grid? So I've been talking about the welcome back strategy, various things that you should be thinking about doing for your team, for an individual within the team, for your clients, and it's using some of the techniques that I use within celebrity service, but using that time well now. So that is the strategy. That's what I'm talking about. And I've used the racing analogy now for the past few months. Get back on the track to deliver a greater service than you had 3 or 4 months ago, because it's a different race.
And I'm of the belief that we are in what I call a business renaissance, because I think that if you're waiting for a new normal to arrive, anything with the word normal in it isn't going to exist. And if that's what you're waiting on, then you're just putting yourself, in my opinion, you're putting yourself and your business in a position of not being prepared for when the next shoe drops. And who knows if another shoe is going to drop, but we didn't know that this shoe would drop. So this is a great opportunity, I think, to renew, to reimagine, to reinvigorate your business, and to take, as you were talking about earlier, taking those risks, using some of that bravado. Because I also believe that customers today are going to be a little bit more forgiving for a little while, because we're all kind of dealing with all of this stuff that none of us have ever had to deal with before. So the unexpected isn't quite as unexpected as it used to be. I mean, it's just, oh, well, the Zoom thing went out. That's normal.
We're definitely going to, hopefully a lot of us are going to be a bit more forgiving. Okay.
Right.
Won't go quick and easy to take a photograph of a poor meal or a bad piece of service and share it. Hopefully, right. I'm not too sure about this, Ron, mine, but hopefully we'll come back as better people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Also, we're going to come back but we've got money in our pockets or money in our account. We're going to really choose wisely where we're going to put it.
Right.
Who are you going to spend it with? So yes, you can be more forgiving, but dear me, I wonder how many organizations have actually had a greater welcome back customer experience strategy, right. Zoom in this time. It's an afterthought for most.
Yeah.
It really truly is. But we are here to help. We are here we are pit crew, Ron.
Right, there we go. There you go.
We have oil. We have the tires. We just radio in. We're ready.
All right, so we're going to get to the Q&A right now. First up, this comes from our NSAKC president, newly elected or newly installed. His name is Frank Clay, and his question is, how do you advise a speaker like me to be a better storyteller? What is the recipe? I think maybe we covered most of that.
Possibly, yeah. I'll just recap on that. Number one, your own stories. Nobody else's stories. Stop
right.
quoting other people. Honestly, I don't know how many times I've got to sit and endure somebody talking about Steve Jobs. Now, great man, achieved great things, and I say to speakers, did you work with him? Oh, no. But I just thought I'd quote him and tell one of his stories. Right. It's the most uninspiring thing ever. I don't want to hear stories. I want to hear your stories, your own experiences, your successes, your failures. I've paid money to a speaker for your content, not a news reporter's content of somebody else, of a different thing, of a different time that happened over there. So own content, and also get some photographic evidence. No stock imagery. If this is your children, this is your car, this is your holiday, then I want to see it. So bring it to life. And also, just a very quick one, 3 points, Ron. The third point is play different roles. Be in the different roles. If you're the child, then you're looking up at something. Just play different roles.
I love that.
And like I say, you can practice if you want. I don't. I just find there's no greater way of testing your material than just doing it live. And you don't have to remember what happened next, because guess what? It's your story.
Yeah.
Just telling the truth. You can't trip up from something that actually happened.
Adrienne Harris, who is a new friend of mine from New York, Long Island, New York. She's a wedding designer out of New York. She asked, will there be replays? Yes, there will be a replay, but she also has another question. And for all of you, my goal is to try to get a replay up by this afternoon at the latest. Okay, so Adrienne's question, what are a few application techniques, tools to apply to your virtual speaking presentations?
Okay, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I have seen, and we've all seen, I've seen some amazing videos coming out about speakers doing virtual presentations. I'm in groups who all day, every day, every minute, every second talk about cameras, lights, applications, green screens. Just stop. I've never seen so many speakers with a New York City skyline.
I'm sorry.
Right? It's like, Ron, I'm guessing that's your house, that's your office?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is mine. Welcome to the real world. It's called being authentic. Right? I'm sorry, Adrienne. I jump on Zoom. I've got a little light above here, which is right.
High tech.
I have some water. It's a good application, and that's it. And now it could it be lit better? Yes. Could it sound better? I don't have a mic. The mic's in the Mac. Guess what? I paid $2,000 for the Mac. I think it's so there's a lot of people out there, and it looks wonderful. Concentrate on your content. Just concentrate, and as we all should do, concentrate on your content. Funnily enough, one thing I have changed, Ron, and you've seen this, if anybody sees my videos on YouTube, on my website, big screen, slides, tag team, funny line image, funny line video, whatever it may be. So, and I do not and have not used one slide in everything I've done for the past 3 months. Not one slide. Not one. And I just think, you've got 50 people on a call, 100, 1,000, 1 million. I just think it's different on a stage when you can play with the screen, and I play with my images, okay?
Right.
But I have props, so I brought all my props back into the virtual presentations. So I've got props, all sorts of things that I'll use to emphasize the story. And I have my props. If I know what I'm going to do, I know how it's going to go. I have props all by the side of my desk, and on my desk, and on the floor. And as we're doing the story, I'll just go over here, and I'll go, oh, ta-da! And people are like, oh my God. It's really basic. And I just think we should concentrate on the content. Just the content. Don't worry about applications. It's more to go wrong. Don't worry about slide share. I'm in conversations. How do I put people in a room? What? This isn't Dirty Dancing. Don't put anybody in a corner. Just don't lose them. Just have them in the palm of your hand and get into a conversation like this. I better go. I better move on, because otherwise I'll go on a rant.
Well, I remember we talked about this off air in your Dallas presentation. You have you put up the photo of Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and you said, this is for all the people that don't think that, what's the line? Something about, this is for all the people that don't think slides belong in a presentation or something to that effect. And then I like it when you took it off too, because you said, if you want this picture, it's coming off in 3, 2, 1. But that's, you know, in your live presentations, I mean, there are no like title slides. There are no, it's all something to reinforce the story you're telling. The Brad Pitt and George Clooney photo stays up there through that almost through the entire story that you have with the lady about her store and what would she do if these guys wanted to come. The story of the airline. You have the 2 young ladies. One of them I know, the other one I have no idea who she is. I love that story as well. And the ticket. So I told you, I said, please don't put, I'm waiting for a restraining order at some point. Any last questions? Because we're running out of time here. I just want to make sure.
Adrian's coming back. I said, when I say tools, I'm speaking more about the speaking techniques regarding content.
I'm guessing it has more to do with, are you standing? Are you sitting? Are you animated? Are you in somebody's face?
Virtually, I'm sat. Virtually, I'm sat, Ron. That's all. I'm not doing the whole standing up and walking around. And I feel like a caged animal doing this. It's
yeah.
what I want to do for the rest of my life. But in the interim, we do what we do. But it's more conversational. I think this is more conversational. When you get a stage and when you've got that size and when you've got the lights and we've got the walk-on music, you can go for it. But I just think this is more conversational, and I get straight into not only stories but actionable ideas that people. It's almost seminar-based rather than a keynote. But it's just how I have done it. Is it right or wrong? No idea. But people want content, and if we can deliver it in an engaging manner and still keep that fun and humor, then great. But I hope that's answered. If not, drop another question, Adrian. And if anybody wants to, because we've spoke a few about my stories, if anybody wants to see all of these videos that I've got, by all means, if you go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, it's free. There's about 90 something videos there on my YouTube channel. So help yourself. Go to my website. Help you. If I can help you, you know where I am. But Ron, it's been wonderful to connect.
Like I said, I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I can't tell you. I look forward to talking to you again in the future. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you some other time. All right.
Pleasure. Take care.